check. What is going on, everybody? Mario here. Didn't get to go live yesterday. Um, I crashed out like so early. Slept like literally like 12 hours. I hadn't slept very well since last weekend. Um, you know, I passed a kidney stone like literally like right after the Ryan Garcia stream ended. I talked about that on Monday, and so I felt better this week. I just really couldn't sleep. So I caught up on sleep big time yesterday, only to wake up and find out, holy shit, we might be at war. Fucking sucks for anyone who said to themselves, this is not the guy that's going to make things better, but he's ran so much on anti-war. There's no way, at least there's no way there's no way he's going to want to go that far back, especially with how many conservatives and Republicans jumped on that no wars bandwagon. And yeah, well, we're fucked now. So it's kind of like just hard to just be like, oh, let's fucking elimination chamber time. You know what I'm saying? Makes you wonder about Saudi, though. It really does, because they hit Dubai. Like, that's, to me, that's a shock. With as much as much U.S. investment that there's been in the saturation of Dubai, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And now breaking news came out just about an hour ago, maybe. Top Israeli officials are saying that the Ayatollah of Iran, the leader, the supreme leader, is reportedly gone. He's been terminated, assuming eliminated during the strikes. Who knows? But that's all we're going to go on as far as today. I have a scheduled podcast with Supermex next week. I'm going to do a deep dive into the Iran, into US's history with Iran. I know very little, to be honest with you. It's probably I would say the only information I've even really came across is the information I've gotten as I've dove into the Palestinian stuff and Israeli war and the Accords and the Abraham Accords, and you kind of have to you'll cross paths with the Iran and the history of it as it relates to the US. But yeah, I really don't want to say anything yet. I mean, I'm anti-war in the sense of I don't want to start new wars for no reason, but I'm not anti-war in the sense that I live in America. You know what I mean? It's hard to, you can't be pro-American and anti-war. There's no way, right? I mean, we've literally forced people to, yeah, I don't think there's a way. But so it's not like I'm super oh my God, there's never a good reason for war. That's not the case. I just don't think that a 30-year-old lie about weapons of mass destruction, and maybe a lot of people weren't alive back then or weren't into politics back then, and that's fine. But just know we've seen this story before. Just know that you're watching a rerun. This isn't new. This is the same old bullshit, same old tactics. I mean, it's going to be really hard for Trump to top the Bush administration, though, because those motherfuckers literally made billions off of dead Americans. I would say Cheney and Bush, if you're ever able to prosecute those people, like presidents, they have to be the first two. They have to be the first two. Halliburton, the whole reason why small arms places were able to bid on the war, on arms deals for the war, was because of Dick Cheney and basically lining his pockets with his best friends so badly that even Republicans were like, whoa, wait. We got to chill on this. But anyway, that's it for the day on that. Elimination Chamber and Navarrete scheduled for tonight. Very, very excited. I'll be covering the Elimination Chamber for fightsatw.com, fightsaroundtheworld.com. Also, it has to be said that the opinions of this podcast don't reflect on any partners, sponsors, and or affiliations. Like, this is my own opinion because it comes from my own research and knowledge, and it's worth something to me because I've spent years, decades, on some of this stuff. So, you know, I don't say it without fucking being able to like I'm not going to contradict myself on any of this shit ever. Like, you've never heard me support anyone because at this point I don't think there's anyone worth supporting anymore. So, but anyway, yeah, this is going to keep happening. I'm telling you right now. This shit's like way too fresh for me to just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. It's like you register as a Republican when you're 18 years old, and you literally have the people that helped build the Republican Party in your state, and they literally talk to you and they say, look, these are the things, the founding principles of conservatism, and this is the Republican policy, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh my God, this sounds like really smart and it makes a lot of sense. And then as you get older, you're like, wait a minute, they're not doing any of that. They've literally changed nothing. Like, they fight for inches, but they don't really want anything different. And it's like, oh, there you go. You just deconstructed Republicans. Then you deconstruct Democrats and you realize, oh shit, the American people literally have no one on their side. Alexander Usyk to fight a kickboxer. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Conor Benn's $15 million for Zuffa. All right. $15 million for Zuffa as a co-main event. We talked about this earlier this week. And now we're going to talk about the $60 million price tag on the White House show for the UFC. Now, Zuffa Boxing and the UFC obviously operate as two separate entities. You know, it's kind of like the whole point of a conglomerate like TKO is that you can have like multiple companies, you know, with different strategies and promotional, you know, techniques. And you can also have like one company able to basically invest more, right, into their sport. And it's different for both of them. That said, the money comes from one place, right? The money comes from only one institution. So I'm asking, is that $60 million price tag is worth it as it was 2-3 weeks ago? I'm not saying $50 million is going to break the TKO bank. All I'm saying is that the investment on Conor Benn is one that most people, I think, question as far as like strategy, right? Like, you can just continue to like get big fights, right, and put them under your banner and then have people associate big fights with Zuffa Boxing. But this isn't a big, but Regis Prograis and fucking Conor Benn aren't a big fight, right? Is it worth the money they're putting into it? Like, will they get back any sort of return that makes that investment worthwhile? I don't know. That stands to be seen. $60 million price tag on the UFC White House fight, right? What kind of investment is that? And we're going to talk about it. Again, I'm not suggesting that it's bad and or like going to bankrupt the TKO Zuffa. Not at all. Not even a little bit. What I am saying is that in boxing, frivolous spending has always led to either decommission promotions entirely or a company-wide scale back, like we saw with PBC, right? PBC came out spending. Oh boy, that Waddell and Reed wallet was just fucking a hole burned in that bitch. And they were just like burr, 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 making it rain on that shit. And you know, today, where's PBC and how much money they bringing in? And then you ask yourself why the investors, you know, got together to sue, and you find out that, you know, spending money frivolously doesn't work for everybody. You know what I mean? Probably doesn't work for most. That said, you know, with turkey associations, you got to ask yourself whether the money even matters at this point, whether they're just going to like line the pockets of every single boxer, you know, just to get them to bend the knee, I guess. I don't really know any way to better say it. And again, I'm not even like saying it's like, oh, Zuffa's shaking over. It's bad. I mean, maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. I don't know. All I'm saying is that um we haven't seen boxing promotions do well when they spend that kind of money frivolously. So we'll see about that. We're going to talk about, like I said, the Usyk fight. He's fighting a kickboxer. Rico, we're going to find out how to say this all together. I just want y'all to know. I'm going to say Verhoeven. I don't know how to say that. Supermax said, I think it's a good investment. The 60 million for the UFC, the 15 million with Conor Ben, or both. Yeah, so we're going to learn how to say Rico's last name together, but that's going to be May 23rd in Egypt. And look, I'm not talking any sort of shit about this fight in the sense of like not wanting to see it. Like, obviously I don't want to see it because I don't know who the fuck this guy is, right? I've seen clips of him before. This was a guy that Turkey was pushing like a year or two ago. Like, oh, I want to see this guy with Fury. I want to see this guy in the heavy, like he just, you know what I mean? Like, obviously this was always a plan. I don't mind Usyk making a bag, like in the same way that Anthony Joshua made his bag against Ngannou, or Fury made his bag against Ngannou and embarrassed himself at the same time. I don't mind that. Here's what I do mind: the WBC saying this is for the heavyweight title. I mean, I literally had to like double check that because I was like, there's no way. There's no way that a company whose spokesman and leader has been on the air for the last 8 weeks doing damage control, okay, for his decisions that he's making with his sanctioning body, right? These unilateral decisions, by the way, that have zero consequences and zero rationality. If you've watched Mannix's interview with him and a few other people who have done an excellent job exposing the WBC for all their frauds. Yeah, I don't know how you sanction this, but whatever the fuck ever. Mech said, if they can draw out names like Haney or Ryan to jump in for a post-fight call-out, paid peanuts forever. Yeah, so he's definitely talking about the Conor Ben fight. Here's my thing, though, right? Here's the pushback I'm going to give, because you're not wrong, right? And I said that at the very beginning as well. It's like the whole investment is trying to get boxing, right? The media, the fans, the fighters, the managers, the promoters, the trainers, the gyms, the fucking junior and amateur, you know, institutions, all of them to fall in line with Zuffa boxing, right? And so trying to associate yourself with big names, that's, you know, obviously that's a big thing, and it's a necessary thing for you to do. Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No, but I do it because it's sterile and I like the taste. Man, I haven't seen Dodgeball in so long. What a hilarious movie. Anyway, yeah, I look, here's the thing. There's no saying how much is too much when it comes to these sort of investments, right? The market doesn't dictate these moments. And that's a problem, Mex, because in every other financial institution or every other genre of you know, like economics and financial institutions for companies, it's like you have to have like an understanding of where your ceiling and where your floor is. And I don't know how much this is overpaying, and I don't know how far away this is from the market value. And so again, it's not that it's bad to make these kinds of investments. It's how much of an investment should you be making, right? Because all you're doing is setting a probable price point for the people that you're laying out, right? Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney have to be seen as more vital commodities in America, specifically over Conor Ben. So if you paid Conor Ben 15 million, what do you got to pay Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney? You know, especially if they're going to end up fighting each other. Like, you're going to pay 50 million for a fight of that magnitude, 60 million? Like, what are you going to end up paying, and how much over it market value is it? Again, I'm saying it's not a bad move. It's a bad trend, I think. Shout out Bruce Gas in the chats. He says salute, bro. And I say salute right back to you, Bruce. Bruce, I need to hit you up so you can come on so we can chop it up because you are so good at this. Matt said, let's see. He said, not at all. What else does Usyk need to prove? He ran through everyone and Atom isn't ready. Yeah, Moses is definitely not ready yet, but that is a fight I definitely would like to see one day. Yeah, I'm not mad at Usyk. Yeah, like I said, I'm not mad at Usyk taking this fight. I think he's what more than deserve, more than earned one of these type of fights. And that's to say, like, who's even to say it's going to be like a super easy fight? I mean, I can't say that. Like, styles make fights at the end of the day, and you'll never find anyone who can look at both Fury and Ngannou separately and suggest Ngannou is a better boxer. What you will say though is that the styles of those two fighters on that night specifically made a problem for Tyson Fury. Would it happen again if they fought again? I don't know. All I know is that anyone can catch anyone off guard, right? Like, does Usyk sleep on silk sheets for this one? Probably not. I would guess not. But at the same time, who's to say he wouldn't? Mech said, I agree with you, Mario, but that's the lesson Dana needs to learn. You aren't fixing to come in here and make your own rules. This is good for us because Dana will bend the knee eventually or just bow out. Yeah, that's a fair point, Mex. And it's a rational point. And the reason why I say that it's rational is because if you look at the data points we've collected, right, there at some point is a reverberation on the spending, right? And it happens at times where you least expect it. And so all I know is that we're getting to a place where the immovable object is meeting the unstoppable force. How it pans out, I don't know. All I know is it doesn't look great for anyone that's like what's the word, like institutional boxing, right? Like the boxing heads, it doesn't look good for any of them at all. Hello. Yeah, I was gonna see if you could pick up Adam on your way, but only if you're gonna come back on time. But if you're running late, it's no big deal. Okay, no problem. Okay, love you, bye. Oh, so just a heads up, guys, we will be live streaming tonight as I cover Elimination Chamber. We will be also covering Navarrete. Hopefully, it doesn't super line up. In fact, what time does the Navarrete start? Let's see. The card starts. The main card starts at 7. The ring walks are scheduled at 10. Damn, that's late as shit. The fight takes place at the Desert Diamond in Arizona. Oh, it's in Arizona. That's why. So they got an earlier start time or later start time for us. Okay. Well, then it doesn't look like it'll overlap. So that's good. Let me just promote the topic real quick. So I missed SmackDown last night. Obviously, I've seen some of the I saw some of the like the news for it and stuff like that. Let me see. Elimination Chamber. Right. All right, guys. So just a reminder, we will be live again for Elimination Chamber tonight. We'll be live for Navarrete as well. So the opening of SmackDown ended up having everybody from the Elimination Chamber, except for Jey Uso, because Jey Uso was taken out. Jey Uso being taken out is not the surprise to me. The surprise to me was that actually that's not even a surprise to me. The surprise to me, I think, is that Reed was going to win. I think that if you look at the Jey Uso thing, right, and the fact that they're taking him out, it tells me that Bronson Reed was probably going to win. I'm not saying that's guaranteed, obviously, but think about it for a second. Why, if Jey Uso was being put into the match in place of Reed, who was injured in his qualifier match on Monday, why would he be taken out then? Right? Like were they always going to take someone out? Were they going to end up taking Trick out or Javon Evans? And then they were like, well, we got Jay and he's super disposable. So fuck that. I don't know. All I know is that they took Jay out for a reason. And there was never any point where that was part of the story because he wasn't supposed to win. You get what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't supposed to win. So it doesn't matter if he's in there or not. Now, if the whole plan was to find someone to put in his place or to put in place of one of the qualifiers, it still doesn't make sense that it's Jey Uso, right? Like, somebody else more disposable you could find, obviously, in Trick Williams or Javon Evans. Now, I don't think that you should take either of those guys out. In fact, I think that if you're smart and you make Trick Williams, you let Trick Williams win tonight. You know, I said it. I'm predicting Cody. I'm picking Trick Williams. I'm rooting for Trick Williams to not just win, but to do a full face turn. And I'm not even saying it works. I haven't thought about it beyond tonight's pop. All I know is that if you are WWE creative and or, TKO brass, your whole thing right now is how do we create buzz and excitement for WrestleMania? For the hottest ticket of the year in wrestling that is down year on year, right? Is that what it is? Year on year? 16%, was it? Something like that. Whatever. I mean, I really don't even think that that's bad. Like, they're still making a shit ton of money. But if optics are king, then I understand the panic. That said, though, is it a success if they're 15% down? I don't know. I mean, the tickets are like 40% higher, some shit like that. They're like 400% higher than they were like 4 years ago, the last WrestleMania that was under the Vince era. They're like 400% higher. So you have to ask yourself then, what will do it? What finish tonight would instantly make WrestleMania feel bigger? And that's a Trick Williams win. I'm sorry. Evans win, I think, is too much of a shocker. It's too unbelievable. It's like, this guy's not doing shit. Like, that's bullshit, right? And then anyone else just feels uninspired. I mean, here's the thing. If it ends up being Cody, that's, as easily booked as you can get. In fact, I have not heard anyone. All right, let me put it this way. I haven't heard anyone that I respect in the wrestling social media game that is not picking Cody. Realistically, obviously, there are people like me who are going for their favorite people, right? But nobody realistically believes Randy Orton's going to win, right? Nobody realistically believes LA Knight was going to win. Nobody realistically believed Jey Uso was going to win before they took him out. So again, it comes down to like, who's like realistic enough, but enough of a shakeup. And that answer's Trick Williams, man. I'm sorry. It's the easy answer as far as I'm concerned. They're not going to do it though, but whatever. Meg said, I don't think Reed was going to win at all. Yeah, dude, I had zero. I listen to me. If we had this conversation yesterday, I would have been like, yeah, no shit, Mex. But dude, tell me it's not weird that they did this last minute, the SmackDown before the go home episode. You finagle the match to that degree? For what reason? I'm asking myself, right? Mech said, I think what we're going to know after tonight is whether it's a triple threat or a fatal four for the WWE title at Mania. I think you're right as well on that. He said, Cody wins. We get a Sammy turn fatal four way. Drew versus Cody versus Fatu versus Sammy. Trick will be first or second eliminated. Yeah, you're probably right about that. It's funny you say that because the rumor mill this week churned out a huge one. And it has been confirmed by like every dirt sheet, by every mainstream player, right? And that is that WWE is leaning towards a fatal five-way for the WWE world title. Now, I think when you have an idea like a fatal five-way, it could always, become a triple threat or become a fatal four. I don't know if you can sell a five-way like the way you need to try to sell that match. It almost doubles down on what CM Punk and Roman Reigns said initially, and that's like Drew doesn't move units. Drew is an unimportant factor. I don't believe that at all. In fact, I think Drew McIntyre is probably the MVP of the 2020s for WWE. But I will say that putting him in a multi-man feud solidifies that to a degree, right? It's basically saying, hey, there's nothing interesting enough on its own that you have to now be, associated with other wrestlers because you don't have a good enough program to stack up against. I don't know. But listen, before we get into the Elimination Chambers, I want to real quick talk about the two singles matches. Becky Lynch and AJ Lee are going to be wrestling Finn Balor they're not. They're wrestling each other, and Finn Balor and CM Punk are wrestling each other in separate matches for each of their titles. Becky has the IC, and CM Punk has the heavyweight title. Now, there is almost no way, as far as I'm concerned, that either AJ or Punk lose. In fact, it's all but guaranteed they're going to both win. Why? Because they want to have that multi-title moment, husband and wife in the ring. And I'm not against that at all. I think that's, the best way to send home the Chicago crowd. I do think, though, you got to do something big. You got to do something that changes the trajectory of one of the people in those matches, right? Like, look, outside of Becky losing and then saying she wants to divorce Seth Rollins, the only other thing that you could possibly do, I think, is turn Finn Balor face. Have him, have Dominic try or JD or both of them try to help him. That ends up leading to the loss for Finn, and then we get the turn. The problem is this, guys. This is the problem that you'll have to understand. Last year, the Elimination Chamber set a precedent, okay, in that the main event was not the main event. The main event was a segment between The Rock, Final Boss version, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Travis Scott for some reason, and everybody else was in there, right? And we know what happened. Tonight doesn't have that. Tonight doesn't have that even in the slightest. So what you have to do is you have to create a moment. And I think that's the moment to create. I mean, look, outside of the box, which, let's be honest, that reeks of Vince McMahon. Outside of the box, which, all predictions seem to point at Danhausen on their aggregate. And I think Danhausen's a fine selection. I don't know if pumping up a guy that's not even really going to wrestle for you is, super smart, but to each his own. All I know is that the crate is not going to produce Jericho. It's not going to produce anything even remotely close to what we saw last year. And that's problematic for a group of fans who undoubtedly compare, event to event. Drew is the MVP, but he is not the draw. He needs to be solo now. Don't get me wrong. I'm personally much more interested in heel Drew. Yeah, me too. AJ wins by DQ. Punk wins after JD or Dom screws Finn. Yeah, see, like everybody's there for it. Everybody's there for it. In fact, I think that the only issue with this entire buildup was that you had Finn already make this decision when Liv kind of pushed him to it, and he fucking beat up both Punk and AJ Styles and ruined that match. So Raquel wins and goes after Vicour and Liv Batista style. Yo, Mex, you booked that a couple weeks ago, dude. And I'll be honest with you, because I know you hadn't listened to the shows this week. I definitely stole that. I went with it and I said, fuck that. That's a good booking, dude. I'm taking that. Because here's the other part of it, right? There's nothing headed into the women's chamber. There's like no stories whatsoever. The only thing remotely close is what you just hit on, because remember, Stephanie Vaquer had beef with Raquel, so much so that she challenged her to her own title match. It was a stupid fucking way they did it, but that's at least continuity, right? Then on top of that, you have the Liv Raquel beef from the Royal Rumble, and that was touched on for a week or two. The problem is, again, they just abandoned it, like literally abandoned it. I mean, it's so silly week to week, the things they do, without even trying. I saw somebody complaining about the Natty and Maxine Dupree match. They were live, wherever the fuck Raw was. I forgot now. Where was Raw? Memphis? No, not Memphis. That was last week. I can't remember, but where? Oh, it was in Georgia, obviously, because of AJ. And yeah, they I forgot that they were doing the SmackDown match. Yo, they just need to let Solo be a comedy act already. He's so good at it. Meg said it's Vince in the box. Yo, that would be epic. It would be epic for a couple reasons. One, it's Vince, so you're like, holy shit. But two, if you'll remember back in the really good SNL days, they had this Justin Timberlake song with Adam Sandberg, and it was called Dick in a Box. Now, if you don't know that song, it's a hilarious song, and it's like a old school, like 80s R&B song, and it's like, I got my dick in a box. It's pretty good, actually. Anyway, that would be hilarious, because everybody knows that one of the weirdest things about Vince's lawsuit is that he reportedly named sex toys after the wrestlers that he had worked with for years. Some of them he called friends, like The Undertaker. That one was reportedly purple, by the way. And so that would be hilarious to have Vince in a box, knowing how obsessed with Dixie was. Anyway, Max said, well, Cornette says if they come out of a box, they're fucking over, especially in Chicago. Yeah, exactly, dude. That's hilarious. Did he really say that? That's hilarious. Rhea will take on Jade. That's going to be huge. Yeah, dude. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that, or not a lot of people, but I've been seeing people pump that. They're like, dude, you need to sell tickets. What is going to sell tickets more than Jade and Rhea, right? Two beefcake women, just hosses, just going after each other. That is a good match, honestly. That would be dope. That's why they dropped the belts last night. Yeah, that's what everybody's saying, man. I think by the way, if Aldis doesn't end up wrestling what's his name? Drew, this is a ridiculous program. I'm telling you right now. It's gotta be Nick Aldis coming back to it. But anyway, where else were we? Oh yeah, so the two matches, they got to produce something good because they're so easy to book. My fear is that nothing happens. My fear is that we get like literally another like, oh, we're gonna tease Dom and Finn breaking up. Like it's just gone on for so long, dude. Like how can you possibly think that stretching this out anymore is better? What did Janelle Grant say, though? Because I've seen a lot of people turn course on her. I just didn't see what she said. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, she said that, you know, Vince would force her to use sex toys and that the sex toys were named after wrestlers. That's the part I saw that I was commenting on. Here's the thing. That to me is probably the most true part of everything. Because it's like, how could you make that up? I mean, here's the thing. If she made it up, then honestly, she deserves to get money for it. Because how creative. Like how creative you came out to drop that one. You know what I mean? Because like if it's not true, it was obviously just to hurt his reputation. And I can't think of a funnier and yet traumatic thing than to be in a room filled with sex toys named after wrestlers. There's just nope, you're not coming back. Also, I'm not shaking your hand after that. You know what I mean? Like if it came out that somebody from TBV that I used to work with was like using sex toys with our names on it, I'm not shaking his hand. I'm not shaking his hand after that. I'm not going to dap up Ron knowing that he's got a Mario sex toy at home. No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to be Ron. But anyway, he said she had some sort of public statement recently, and a lot of people now have changed their opinion on her. Yeah. What was the opinion on her? I'm not sure. I haven't really seen anybody say anything about her. I mean, like you mean like saying that she's lying? Here's the thing. With things like this, I always assume some of it's a lie, right? I always assume some of it's a lie. Just like I assume some of it's true. And in this case, like anything true is weird. It's like weird. It's not illegal, like some of the weirder stuff. It's not illegal. It's just weird. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's hard not to get that weirdo vibe from Vince, you know? Like when you think back of the Raw and the Attitude Era and like all the crazy stunts, it's like, man, only a fucking devious mind could come up with that. And then I think, you know what? I probably could have come up with that. And then I'm like, wait, but I'm fucking terrible. Like my cousins showed me hardcore pornography when I was a child. Like I'm clearly abused. So yeah, me and Vince are pieces of shits. Let's see. Yeah, not necessarily the line, but the narrative. Oh, got you. Okay. Seeing now is that she was much more into this shit. Oh, got it. Okay, I get what you're saying now. I hadn't heard that. But I mean, obviously I don't hear everything. You know, honestly, like I really don't even care about the talk anymore, mostly because I'm not convinced we're even going to court anymore. Like the mediation didn't really settle anything, and obviously they're not on that path anymore. But I think even if we do, we're not going to get TV. We're not going to get anything out of it. We're all we're going to have to do. You know what? We're going to just have to settle for the Pac trial this year with Keefe D. We're going to have to settle for justice on a 30-year-old murder. That happened in the middle of fucking Vegas on the night of one of the biggest fights of the year, or at least one of the biggest fighters fighting of the year. Yeah, that's crazy. Keefe D though, dude, that guy was telling everybody he did it for years and nobody fucking did anything. And now he's like 67 and almost dead. And they're like, well, we're taking you to jail. It's crazy. The Diddy style set the precedent. Yeah, bro. Honestly, I think even the other trial set the precedent too. What was it called? The guy from the Pirates movies and the other girl. That one was crazy too, bro. Man, when you start talking about shit in each other's bed, nah, you lost the plot, champ. You lost the plot. Although I will say this. No, you know what? I'm not gonna say that because it sounds mean. It sounds like I'm talking shit. All right, so that's the chamber. So I'm picking still Cody. Women's, we're gonna go Rhea. Now, I will say this one part I've been seeing is that they're gonna choose tonight to break up Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. I don't know if that's gonna be the case or not. But I will say that I think they need something in the match. Like if you remember last year, Jade came back, beat the shit out of Naomi, and we found out. Wait, was that last year? Yeah, that was last year, right? Damn, that feels like so long ago. I'd say this because it's more similar to the Diddy Cassie thing. Yeah, that's very true. So I don't know what we do here. But I do think Alexa Bliss, Charlotte, could be something exciting. I think that maybe if you would have gave him like a little bit more than that initial tag run, because I mean they haven't even been really competing in tag teams. It's like, oh, they're friends still, but they're like, both trying to win singles titles. It makes sense, is all I'm trying to say. It makes sense. Yeah, but I do think that the men's chamber is where to expect anything sort of remotely big. So I guess we'll see. Let's see. That's it for that one. Navarrete and Eduardo Nunez tonight. I think this is going to be a really good fight. Both of these guys champions. They both come to fight. Wait, where the fuck is this? No. Oh, okay. All right. So the last time we saw Eduardo Nunez was September 6th of last year. He picked up a unanimous decision win against Christopher Diaz. Decent little win, I guess. And then as for Navarrete, it's actually been a while. He fought back May 10th in 2025. So it's only a couple months shy of a year. It's like 10 months. And that was the no contest he had against Charlie Suarez, if y'all remember that one. So we're gonna see these two guys fight tonight. I think one of the biggest things that I'm looking for is what do we have left in Navarrete? Navarrete has been around for a while. 39 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 31 KOs. And he's been doing this a long time. He's been in wars, even fights that he's won fairly not dominating, but like convincingly, he takes shots. He at every single point in the fight, he will at some point be the take two to give one guy. So what does he have left? And I don't even mean just against Eduardo. Wait, they didn't have Obafemi squash the Miz last night, did they? Oh, there's that whole he's telling him he could be his manager. Yo, I'm sorry. The Miz should go to AEW. As long as MJF is there. I mean, if MJF can come over by the time the Miz is still wrestling, but I don't know. I just want to see. I just think he could do a lot more there than he's doing here. Like they don't really need him to be the Obafemi, squash guy. AW could really, really use, I think, a guy like The Miz. People would say that, no, that's weird. You're dumb because, the wrestling and stuff like that. But that's not the point, guys. Like, the point is to make that wrestling count for something. And fewer guys do that better than The Miz. The Miz makes you count. The Miz makes his time count. Like, there should have never been a reason why anyone gave a shit about The Miz and Daniel Bryan. And yet, everyone gave a shit about that. And it felt so real. It felt authentic. Like, it was too complete opposite styles on the spectrum, right? Like philosophies in life, like douchebag versus hippie douchebag. And like it was epic. I thought it was great. And yet, Miz isn't known to be like the best wrestler. Anyway, so Eduardo Nunez from Mexico will be fighting Navarrete in a unification bout for the IBF and Navarrete's WBO. Let's see. So Eduardo Nunez, this is a guy who has some pop, definitely. Okay, 27 KOs, within his 29 wins. And this is a guy who has only suffered one loss in his career. It was back in 2018. And it was a unanimous decision in a 6-round fight in which Nunez had a point deducted from him for low blows in round 3. So you could argue that the scores 57-56, 57-56, and 57-56 would have made it a draw. So, despite that fact, he does have the loss on his record. This is going to be a very, very good fight. The 28-year-old God damn you, Box Rec. God, I fucking hate Box Rec, dude. It's just like, I just wish like a billionaire would like buy it and then like we'd never have fucking another ad pop up again. Okay, so Navarrete, I'm sorry, the 28-year-old Nunez is taking on the 31-year-old Navarrete, whose nickname is Vaquero. And let's see. Wait, what the fuck? Okay, so Navarrete is 31, but he's an old 31. His fights, or his last loss was to Baranchik. That was back in 2024. Then he picked up that win against Oscar Valdez in 2024. He only fought once in that in last year in 2025. So if you look at his career, he hadn't really been like super active, maybe like 2 fights a year, maybe even less in this decade. And the years previous, he would keep very, very busy. I think that could play a part in tonight. But either way, I think we're going to be in for a really good one. Both these guys come and bring it. I haven't seen any really good lines on the betting, but maybe we'll wait till like right at the last minute and see what we can get. But either way, that is the fight that will main event the Glendale, Arizona card at the Desert Diamond Arena. Another fight on the card is going to be Emiliano Vargas, 16-0, fighting Ezekiel Quintana, and they're going to put a NABF title on the line. There's also a WBO Latino super lightweight title as well. This is the fight that I want to see the most in terms of like revealing something about a fighter. Tamir Smalls, 16-0, is fighting Abel Ramos. That's a 10-rounder. So is the Emiliano Vargas, but I don't think it's going 10. Abel Ramos, you'll remember as a guy who definitely is a tough out. He's definitely a tough outing. Not an easy day at the office for sure. And he's fought, quality competition, lost to Ugas in a split decision. Then he beat Omar Figueroa Jr., stopped him. Figueroa was stopped in the corner. He lost to Luke Santamaria and then Cody Crowley back to back. So, in his last outing against Barrios back in 2024 was a draw. So, Tamir Smalls, who's a guy that we've seen, in some of the undercards in the past, and good kid. He seems to be, bright and athletic, very sharp hands, consistent, I would say, accurate. I mean, from Philly. I wouldn't say like the most traditional Philly fighter, but you could definitely see it in him. The craziest thing about it is his nickname is the Biggest. So it's Tamir the Biggest Smalls. Why didn't he just go with Biggie? I think the long layoff is good for Navarrete. He'll be rested, fresh, and I think he's going to look great tonight. Good call. Yeah, it could definitely be good, especially like when guys that get beat up a lot, or not beat up a lot, but they're in action fights, in very physical fights. A lot of times the time off will, be really, really good. Hashtag Big Hebrew. But yeah, man, we're gonna see if Tamir Smalls can get the job done on the undercard with Abel Ramos. Other than that, I don't think the card's anything special, but those two fights are definitely worth watch. Wait, what the fuck? Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. The Cardenas fight. He's fighting Jordan Martinez. That's a good fight too. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah. Oh, Trini Ochoa. Yeah, I seen that one too. Yeah, it's not a bad card at all. It's gonna be on the zone. Match room card. Eddie Hearn. Probably get something from him tonight too. By the way, guys, one thing that Eddie's been delivering in his cards on the zone is that like can't miss interview where he says some fucking crazy shit. And I'm sure he'll deliver with the Conor Ben stuff tonight. So we'll see. Emiliano needs to take big steps this year. I think he's closing in on ready for a world title by this time next year. So he said that, this was going to be the year that he stepped up big. I guess we will see. Look, guys, 2:50 my time, and we're going to wrap up because we will be live in about 2 hours from now. I'd say about 5:30 at the latest. So we will be live covering the fight. Oh, I should just take this one. You're right. Covering the fight tonight as well as Elimination Chamber. Make sure that you're subbed. Make sure that you're following. Make sure that you also hit the like. You could share. That would be awesome. Retweet or share on YouTube to Facebook or IG or TikTok or whatever the fuck. But yeah, we'll be live on YouTube, Twitch, X, IG, and TikTok all tonight, all platforms, covering Elimination Chamber. So make sure you're tapped in with us. Sounds like I know Mex probably won't be able to make it tonight, but Matt said he would possibly be on tonight. If not, either way, got Cousins and the broskies coming through. So we'll all be ready. Probably queue up some burgers tonight. I don't know. Maybe my dad's got some ribs he can bust out. Those dinosaur ribs we had on Super Bowl weekend. Holy shit, dude. They were so fucking good. They were huge, huge. We ended up like cutting one up and fed both the dogs with it. I mean, like little pieces, obviously. They're too crap. They're too fat for more than that. All right, Mex says he's gonna be on for the fight, so we're gonna hold him to that. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, obviously he's welcome, but no, never any pressure on this side. Hey, all I know, Mex, is it's gonna be late enough for a story time. So, just saying. I just bought a pellet grill. Oh, wow. You need to break it in. Yeah, champ. That's badass. Hell yeah. Those are sick, dude. Honestly, I want to get one of those too. But anyway, we will be back tonight. Make sure you hit the follow. Make sure you hit the like at Infighting FX on all platforms. So if you want to watch tonight on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, at Infighting FX. On IG, it's at Infighting FX and at Mario Munguia. So make sure you're followed. Make sure you're subbed. Make sure the notifications are on so you can know exactly when we go live. We will be live, like I said, in about a couple of hours. About 5 o'clock, I think 5:30 at the latest. So make sure you're tapped in. We will see you then. Until tonight, peace.